need a $1.5 billion straight direct hit. That's what we need. We need a direct hit where everybody comes in and has their papers. What do you need? What are your needs? You need housing? Okay, we got a whole empty building over here ready to house you. You need clothing, you need mental health services, you need counseling, drug counseling, everything, because that's part of the reparations. That's part of our reparations, is to repair. And we can't ignore that this is historical. So it's not about a Band-Aid. And this is what I'm telling these people: stop giving Band-Aid treatments to something that requires a full operation.
So is there a disconnect between the people who are providing the services, people who are advocating for the people, and those who are in the positions where they can create public policy to enable the work to be done and financed? Is that where the gap is? Because we got people in office,
right?
And we got people advocating, and we got people with services. How is it not tied together so that it results in people who need help getting help? And
because there is a gap.
So
here we got.
How do we bridge that gap? How do we get
last weekend we met with Rush Hospital, and we did a focus group on the very same questions you're asking. And we need to connect with these people that have the resources. They have the resources and they're letting us know. So the focus group that we had, because we want to know, well, what's the solution? Okay, we've come, we've met, we've said what it is, what the issues and our concerns. And so we were the first focus group. So the sister, her name is Bassett, and she's taken it seriously that these kinds of focus groups have met without resolve. So there's going to be a follow-up, like, okay, Rush, you're big time, you're at the table with us, what's the next step? So excuse me. So that's where we are, and we can't leave the table.
Let me ask this question. We got Congressman Norwood. We got Bobby Rush, Danny Davis, Robin Kelly. Those are our 4 blacks from Illinois. Do those 4 blacks come together and have a town hall meeting with us?
Have we requested it and given them a time and date and a place?
That's a good question.
People only do what you ask them, and they may have the office, but really it's the people that drive legislation and action. And all the people who are activists, many of them have the plan, but that doesn't get translated into legislation presented by elected officials.
Yeah, because as our dear sister Levette has been talking, I grew up in K-Town. My parents moved us over to the west side on the other side of Cicero. So we're about like the first, second blacks to move on that side of Cicero. So we had Moore Park. There's Franklin Park. Further up on Costner in that area. And for the life of me, I went back over to Moore Park, and they finally have an extension built on to Moore Park. And I think LaShawn Ford has something to do with that. But in the years that we lived on Adams, down the street from Moore Park, we never saw nothing decent come from the monies that folks are paying into taxes to the park districts to make our parks decent. Okay. But now we got 20 black aldermen, 20. And the condition of our community have not changed. And the question is, and there's a big issue with the map because now the Asian community, they won't award aldermen. The Hispanics want 2 more seats. And the Black Caucus is saying they want to keep a status quo of their 20 seats. Okay. And so with this new map, are we going to end up losing 2 black aldermen?
What's the most that we've had?
Does it really, say what?
What's the most that we've had?
The most aldermen, I think, was what, 18?
Black aldermen.
12, one while.
Okay.
Now it's up to 20.
I had a long talk with one of the aldermen who revealed that the concept of a black caucus is just not in the minds of many of those who have been elected. They don't know how to function as a coalition, and they haven't been able to take their collective power and get legislation passed that would benefit the communities that they serve. So, I mean, they're holding the seat and they're, going to meetings, but they don't have a vision of how to take the position that they have and translate it into a change in policy where the people they represent can see changes in their communities. Something as simple as garbage pickup. I mean, how come one part of the city is clean and the other part is dirty? That's a very simple solution. Something isn't being done in one part of the city. How do we get it so that it's done? It doesn't make sense to have a city that's part trashy and dirty and another part that's clean. It's one city.
And part of the problem with them, my sister, and you take Alderman Harris,
problem in our community, and I'm actually calling.
Whose son was the superintendent, and he wasn't doing his job, but he was getting paid. People was dumping in that ward, and people was complaining about him, but nothing got done. And in some of these back wards, and when I think about K-Town to this day looked like a bomb was dropped on K-Town when Dr. King got assassinated. They burned up Roosevelt.
Madison.
In Madison, yeah. And if you go down Roosevelt from even where Jewtown is, it looks so much different. Going back towards K-Town. And off of Fillmore and Kildare. That whole section going back towards Cicero. It makes no sense that these guys can be in these office for all this time
and nothing is changed
and nothing gets done.
And that's like if you think about Africa and all the countries, these people actually operate small little countries.
Yeah.
The residents are equal to that of a country in Africa. And so they're like kings and queens over their villages. And history will show that they failed. They failed us.
Yeah.
Because when we have young children just killing people for the hell of it, destroying lives, robbing people, taking their cars. And they did a interview of some of these young people, And they said, why do you do this? I thought they were getting ready to give some kind of brilliant idea, right?
No.
They said, we saw it on a video game.
Right.
We tried it. It worked. I was like, this simple. Was that it? Really? That's the girl answered like that. And I was like, she's just being dead honest. It is just as simple as that. She said, we saw it on the video game. We tried it. It worked. And she said, because they asked the girl, and she said she never had to hurt anybody. You know, the young boys, like the young boy that stole the man's car yesterday, he had the gun on him and he said, I will kill you. Took the man's car, right? They say they just found the car down the street and he just did it just to do it. He didn't even keep the car. He just abandoned it just a few blocks away. And so it's like, what is a tragedy? You know, that's another epidemic, you know, along with, you say what, sister?
Did anybody discover who created the video games that are having this influence, what company that is, who owns the company, who promotes it? You know, does anybody follow the money trail that finances this kind of destructive video game?
No, that's sort of big time. You know, it's the same as the music. It's the same as the music industry. You know,
nobody's anonymous. I mean, you can always find out who's behind something that's destructive, because everything that's destructive is deliberate. So
now, have you heard about this video, this series called, I don't even know what it's called. It's an Asian phenomenal kind of series where the whole purpose of the game is the last man standing.
Now you talking about the squid?
Yeah, so out of 800 people, one is going to be standing. And I'm like, why would I want to watch something that 799 people going to die? No, thank you. Well, I don't want that.
That's another issue, because only a certain mindset would even be attracted to that. So we have to ask ourselves, why are our children attracted to something so destructive? What isn't happening in the house?
But that's not the first. But listen, that wasn't the first. That wasn't the first. I had not gone to the movies, and my two grandchildren, they were like 13 and maybe 14 and 9 or something like that at the time. And I was like, can I go? I hadn't been to the movies. I'll go. And they said, yeah, come on. I sat down, and in the first minute of the movie, parents start to get up and walk out. This was in Oak Park. Parents start to get up and walk out in the first minute. And I turned to my granddaughter and I said, what do you have me watching? Because in the first minute, about 30, 40 kids got slaughtered, just knifed and killed. And she said, horrifying. Had you watched, she said, had you read the book, you'd understand that they're not being killed. They're just morphing into the animal kingdom. So sometimes we don't be in their world where, because my granddaughter, she loves reading books. Wow. So a lot of the fiction books that she would read, she would then go and see. She wouldn't go see the movie until she read the book. So she turned to me and said that. And I realized I'm on their turf right now. So if I just totally not understand what she just said, then I'm dismissing it. So I sort of, it made a little more sense as I watched the rest of the movie, because then they eventually came back to themselves, right? But had I not listened to her at that point and realized this was a book that she read. And so not that you have to be so accepting, but a little understanding. But then in another sense, you've got to ask the question, because my grandson had on a shirt, and it was a promotional shirt, and it said Satan on there.
Well,
I pretty much, I pretty much denounced him. I had never really just cut him off. I wouldn't talk to him or anything. And so it was about a month later, and it was something else with a significance of a name. And I said, "You are what you think."
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah." He said, "You know," he said that shirt I had on that time, he said, "I didn't even read that shirt until you really told me." And he was sort of like trying to defend it. And I think that's why I became offended. But he told me about a month later, he said, "I just happened to get that and put it on. It was promotional."
But
he said, "I didn't even pay attention to it." He said, "But I won't put it on again."
I mean, the question is, he bought it, and how was he unconscious?
No, he didn't buy it. No, he didn't buy it.
Even if it was
right, and
he was unconscious in receiving it and not realizing the vibration that the name carries.
Exactly, because then I had to say to him, "Do you know what that entity represents?" It is about sacrificing your soul. So it's not so much as a physical being, but it is the concept, and you're accepting a concept that is negative. And I wouldn't talk to him for a month. So when I finally talked to him, he apologized. He was like, okay.
So you got to talk, because you can't teach if you can't communicate. Because
right. But that was. And that was my communication. If that's what you riding with, I'm not riding with you. Because it freaked me out, right? Because that had never happened in my family and nothing. And when I saw, and what it was is that I saw him take a picture in it. And when it was backwards. And so I screenshotted it and flipped it. And when I flipped it, I was like, and so you've got to be in a part of their conscious upbringing to even say, like it says in the Bible,
a child you have them to go,
or I can't think of it right now, but warn your brother once and your hands are clean. So if I do that, and you don't take heed to it, and like my grandma used to say, don't throw caution to the wind. Don't just throw out what I'm telling you because I'm old or you think I'm irrelevant. Listen to what I'm saying, because I'm not trying to guide you in the wrong way. And so there's a song, and it says, well, it's a poem that I have, and it said, listen to the word, listen to what's within, because it'll guide you in the right way and not the wrong way. And that's when you know that you're dealing with a positive vibration, because it's not going to tell you to do the wrong thing. And so you just, and I was talking to another younger woman today, and she's younger than my grandson, but she's like maybe 26, something like that. And I was telling her that the generation of the so-called Gen X is what they call. They are so disconnected.
Yes.
They are so disconnected until you just got to grab them and hug them, and then it's just snap them out of whatever. Come here, give me a hug. Just,
I got one more question I got one last question for you. The movie that you saw that started out with all these violent scenes, even though there was supposedly a meaning behind it, do you think on a subconscious level that could influence behavior just the way the video game with the carjacking influenced all these carjackings? Do you think that violent scene and maybe not even understood in context could have the impact of encouraging acts of violence?
Now, I believe so, but I think that it is important to go to these movies, to watch them play the video games. I used to listen to my children, they're in their 40s now, but I used to say, wait, don't turn that music, let me hear it. And I was like, what? Beat that bitch with a bat? And I turned around to my girls and I said, okay, now let me ask you this question. Do you think you're a bitch? No. Do you want to be hit with a bat? No. Well, why are you listening to something like that? And then there's like ding, ding, ding. So even though we may not get an instantaneous change, but put the seed in there always, always, because it was a movie that we watched called Logan's Run, and Logan's Run was a movie way back there, and it was all about young people at 30. And at 30, you automatically went to the carousel. You remember Riverview, where the thing would go around and the floor would drop? Well, in that movie, that's what carousel was. But when you reached up to the top, you got electrocuted. And when the clock went off, soon as you turned 30, you automatically walked to carousel. The only one that didn't walk to carousel was two people that didn't believe they had to die. So they escaped. And when they escaped,
let me ask you sisters this question.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Hoss's Street. This sister was in a convertible, and she was playing a video, well, a song on her radio. Bitch, bitch, bitch. And being who I am, I said, sister, why are you listening to that? She said, I like the beat.
The words are going right into your subconscious mind. So even I've had that experience as well, and I've heard some really horrifying things. And I'll turn up my, I'll roll up my window, turn on my music, do something to drown that out.
Yeah.
Because even if you are not one who listens to that, once it's in your head, have you ever had that happen? You hear you hear a beat, and then you can't get it out of your head. It keeps playing over and over again, and it might be something foul, but you can't erase it out of your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But why would women want another woman to call them a B?
Because they don't.
You know what? Listen.
Ooh,
it's
that's
like
a good question, Anthony. That's a good
but you know
question.
what? It's the same.
Call that by their own mothers who didn't know anything.
But yeah, it's sometimes sometimes it's endearing. Hey, bitch, how you doing, baby?
I love y'all.
But it's like men. Hey dog,
right?
Hey,
my dog.
And so who wants to be called? That's my dog. That's my nigga. And so it's part of. I'm not gonna say it's part of our. It's the subculture that we exhibit. And so we do have subcultures, and I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna end. I ain't gonna say nothing else, but. My sweet granddaddy, he used to call all us because they had 50 grandkids, right? I was over most of the time. And he would say, we would hear the ice cream truck, ding, ding, ding. And he was like, okay, you little fuckers, come on over here. I'm going to buy you some ice cream. And we was like, yay. We were just called fuckers. But we thought that was the sweetest word. He never said mother. He would just say, come here, you little fuckers, and give us all $1. Boy, we were the best. We were the happiest little fuckers on the block. And so that is like the context of how you do it as well, because it's just like somebody white looking at you and say, you nigga, you getting ready to fight. But then you see your friend, you say, what's up, nigga? Hey, what's up? So it is what it is. And, but we do have to elevate, and we have to not let our daughters know it or accept it, because I regret. I'm telling you, I used it when I was in high school, and I regret and I apologize to every sister that I said that to. They said it to me too, but
didn't know that.
It was never in anger. It was never in anger, and it was just a high school thing. And I do regret when I look back that if I could turn back the hands of time, I would never do that. I would never do it. But that's part of the subculture, like our children, part of their subculture is having a gun and sticking people up and thinking nothing of it, And so we've got to have the main culture, and that's us, and that's what we've created, and that's our past, and that's our ancestry, and all of that is the main culture that they need to know is what should be prevalent, that makes us a better people.
Is the mayor of Chicago, is she's going to be a one-term mayor?
Huh. I'd say
No. Maybe not. What you think, Wanda?
I'd say she's working on one term.
Well, let me tell you the brilliance in her is that she's making alignments with the Spanish, with the LGBTQ community. And once you get a unified group, then the other fraction is not even considered. So as long as that's how Chicago politics work. As long as she has her base, then the other folks, they're going to more than likely be fragmented. If someone right now doesn't appear as a front runner, or if everybody can get behind, she will,
That's right.
she will more than likely get back in.
Right. And why not?
Because there's nobody else at this point forward that has enough popularity or credibility or organizing skills.
That's right.
To beat her. So you're right. She will get back in because she has solidified her base and made alliances. And it's a matter of counting the votes and seeing what your base represents. And if you know your base is wide enough to cover the amount of votes that you need to get in.
Right. It's just like Irving. Irving already endorsed her. You know what? He's breaking ground on a $20 million project. On tomorrow night, we do a Zoom on another $26 million project that's going up in his ward. And so he's happy with her. Yeah. And so, and the thing is that where are we in the mix? So I think that as this media, that when we see things of concern, no matter where it's at in the city, that we come together as a voice of media and we present our position on the things that we need. I need this media. Right. And I need this media when we're getting ready to roll out this plan over in Garfield. I need this media to get that message out, to say this media is important and this media can get this word out and is working on this project and working on this documentary. And so I think that as we really pull it together as a media voice, then it matters, because you got about 50 people or more working with this entity. And when we really pull this together as a unit, it will have a strong voice.
Absolutely.
Because people they listen to you especially when it's written, you remember Karosh, Wanda and I used to go to this restaurant, and this Persian guy owned the restaurant. And when we would walk in, he would say, I'd like to introduce you to the 2 leaders of the West Side. We were like, where he get that from? And then he said, when I go downtown to take care of my business, I always send someone. I never go to. So he said, so when they get down there, they could say, and who sent you? Karosh sent me, And then he said, and whenever you're stopped by the police, let them know you've got 1,500 constituents backing you. He said they won't even give you a ticket. Now that's to be proven, right? But the thing is what he's saying is whatever you want to do, have 1,500 people and you will be heard.
Yeah.
So we've got to work on, and just think 50 people in your group times times 10. That's your 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Now you multiply that by 30. That's your 15,000 people. So if 50 people can reach to get 30, that's 15,000 people. And I think that's what we should have the goal. Just like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Right. And so whatever issue we have, if Naima's got any concerns, if Anthony's got any concerns, if we eventually get that 1,500, they're gonna be like, hey, well, wait a minute, who are they? Because and that's how they get Anthony, you were asking about.
Did she freeze?
I think she froze. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been so exciting. Even though I was off screen and you couldn't hear me, I had an emergency. I could hear the show, and you are such great conversators. Everybody just, you always have something interesting to say. Everybody's so knowledgeable. I thank each and every one of you for participating. Thank you so much.
And
please call in tomorrow, because we got another show coming, the Woman to Woman tomorrow. Naima, thank you. It's so nice seeing you. And you too, Miss Yo.
Hey, Naima.
You were just a great host today. She fell off altogether. She's just great. She took the ball and ran with it. So thank you all, and everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Good night.